Speaking of booty shorts, welcome to the war. War. Damn. My wife is still going? Crazy.
Accomplishments in Israel. It's a bit of a rambling performance, isn't it, Simon?
It is a very rambling performance, Ian. It is a recalcitrant performance. It's quite an angry performance. I mean, we've had 3 separate moments so far where he's basically accused by implication his colleagues within the cabinet of not getting enough positive press for his achievements over the course of the last year, whether it's with regard to ICE operations to sweep murderers and criminals, the worst of the worst off the streets of America, whether it's his what he described as his finest moment, the lowering of drug prices, prescription drug prices across the country. He says you hear zero talk about that. He's talked about ending stagflation, bringing about a situation in which the trade
We've banned transgenders from the military, but would you guys also need to report on all the other stuff?
Year, and he's gone on to say maybe I have bad public relations people
You think?
who are not getting it across. But then he's also sought, I think, to tell Americans that what they are seeing with their own eyes, they are not actually seeing with their own eyes. I mean, the Biden administration was, of course, very good at that as well, but he insists that the economy is thriving because the stock market is up and because people's 401k retirement funds are up. And there is
That's good for all those fucking
to
people.
both of those claims, but people don't feel that
$1 million.
I'd be fine too, to access your 401k retirement account because you're not 59 and a half years old yet. And if you're still going to the supermarket every weekend and encountering rising prices at the checkouts, that stock market boom isn't doing anything for you, at least in terms of what you feel in your pocket. And pollsters are clearly revealing that people aren't buying the argument that the economy is thriving simply because the stock market is up. Nonetheless, he has repeated that
Mission success.
over the course of the last half an hour or so. We haven't heard a thing yet about Greenland or NATO. I'm sure we will get
That's important
to
issue, I
that as
think.
soon as he throws this open to questions. But at the moment, he is leafing through a massive
Questions on my book.
achievements that the White House claims he has notched up 365 wins in 365 days, and he's leafing through that document. And I have to say, in not a particularly compelling way, trying to crow about some of the achievements that undoubtedly his image makers want him to be talking about on this day, 1 year to the day since he returned to the Oval Office, just on the issue of whether he's ill or not. And I know many of our listeners have been texting in saying I think he sounds unwell. He's definitely very tired. He was at a football game in Florida last night. He didn't get back to the White House until around 3 o'clock in the morning. Then he engaged in all of those social media postings, including the attack on the Prime Minister and the British government over the Chagos Islands deal. So it's not clear how much sleep he got last night. And within hours, he's due to leave the White House and head to Davos for those all-important crisis talks with European leaders. So far, I would say from what we've heard, he's not sounding generally like a man in a mood for compromise, but let's see where this goes when he gets on to a conversation about international affairs, which, if he doesn't just ramble onto it himself, reporters will definitely want to ask him about once he takes questions.
These are accomplishments. We have a lot of accomplishments in Israel. This is the anniversary, first anniversary, January 20th, and it's been an amazing period of time. We have a book that I'm not going to read to you, but these are the accomplishments
I don't know how to read.
of what we've produced. All page after page after page,
Books and pages,
individual things.
letters, and words.
I could send you and read it for a week and you would be finished.
So
If you want to do that,
thanks,
that's
Ian. You're looking a little bit perplexed about what to make of what the president has been saying over the last.
You guys want to sit here and read this whole book to you?
5 minutes.
Well,
You guys wanna see her read the full
noting,
book to you?
that on page 21 of the document that he has handed out to reporters, citing the 365 achievements and wins that he's had for the United States. Number 245, the 245th win over the last 365 days occurred when he signed an executive order to end the use of paper straws. Now, he hasn't yet mentioned that during the course of this presentation.
It's very important to be sure he's going to. A little
Heck
section
of a lot
dedicated
of
to it.
things. I think that there was a bit of news in there. Accidentally, I think he committed a bit of news there that we were just hearing when he talked about the Board of Peace, where he said, "I wish the United Nations could do more. We wouldn't need the Board of Peace." That is the first public intimation by President Trump that he sees this Board of Peace now, which of course was set up to produce some sort of structure to govern.
The third time this week, my Department of Peace, my Board of Peace.
Alternative to the United
Declared war.
Nations Security Council. So that, I think, is going to worry the Prime Minister, French President Emmanuel Macron, and other world leaders who have so far said they won't be forking out $1 billion and sending it to President Trump to join the Board of Peace. Fresh questions in all of that for Tony Blair. The man who said when he was departing Florida last night that he doesn't care about the Nobel Peace Prize was once again going on and on and on about how he deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. He claimed that the leaders of every country whose wars
Whatever.
that he had resolved to
hilarious.
nominate him for the Nobel Peace Prize. That's actually factually inaccurate. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi didn't back him for the Nobel Peace Prize, and it cost the Indian Prime Minister his relationship with President Trump. He clearly has
That's fucked up. That's smart.
in opposition leader Maria Corina Machado, because he now keeps referring to her as that woman. But he says that he was very grateful that she decided that she didn't deserve the Nobel Peace Prize, but he deserved it. There have been extraordinary comments about the killing in Minneapolis of as a tragedy, and he then went on to say extraordinarily that he hopes that particularly Nicole Good's father, who reporters say was a Trump supporter in the 2024 presidential election, is still a Trump supporter, despite to his daughter at the hands of that trigger-happy ICE agent, who of course is not being investigated by the Department of Justice in relation to her killing. And the other big news, Ian, coming out of this, and I am not making this up, is that he has revealed that when he changed the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, he actually suggested to his aides that it should be changed to the Gulf of Trump. The aides pushed back and told him that they didn't think that was a good idea.
No, sir, no, please don't do that.
Gulf of America. But now he thinks it's not too late
No, he said second
to
thoughts.
change the name from the Gulf of America to the Gulf of Trump.
God, that's second thoughts. I'll re-roll that again.
If they are trying to sit through this and watch it, I have no idea what they're making of it. I see CNN has now dipped out of it. They've given up at almost, I guess, the 1 hour mark. He's not sounding, first of all, he doesn't sound particularly cogent, as I think everyone can hear. And secondly, he's not at all sounding like a man in a mood for compromise or for dialogue in Davos. But again, if he ever gets to questions and answers, we may hear, if there are still reporters in the room that are going to ask cogent questions and trenchant questions, as opposed to the compliant pro-Trump propagandists who swell the ranks in the White House briefing room these days, we may get some pressing questions about what he's going to do over the issue of Greenland.
Donald Trump also said
Donald Trump hasn't made a decision as to what direction he's taking Greenland yet.
It's questioned
We're going with him, but
the States would really come to America's aid if the US asked for it. Well, again, he doesn't know his history, because the US did ask for NATO members' aid back in 2001, and they willingly gave it. So I don't know what he's all about there.
he doesn't know his history on any of this stuff, Ian. I mean,
He's got the education of a fifth grader.
The fact checker couldn't even keep up with the nonsense. that
He
was
makes the
spouted
shit up
during
as he
the
goes
course of
along.
this press conference. I think it's also important to say very clearly here, you know, if this was Joe Biden making this kind of an appearance, or any other previous occupant of the Oval Office, we would be asking ourselves whether members of his cabinet shouldn't be having a conversation behind the scenes about whether he's okay and
Oh, there we go,
it's
do it.
all
Yeah,
right
right.
for him to continue in office for another 3 years. I mean, we discussed the 25th Amendment,
Hold on.
which allows members of the cabinet to remove a president if he's considered to be suffering
Armed and
from some
dangerous.
kind of disability that prevents him from staying in office. We talked
President
about
is
that
retarded.
when Joe Biden was in office and was clearly
Also
flagging,
retarded.
and arguably his cabinet should have done a lot more to dissuade him to drop out of the presidential
that, yeah.
election much earlier.
They did.
You and I talked about
You
that.
did drop out, you fucking asshole.
The American media said.
You didn't drop out quick enough.
No, absolutely.
Should've
not.
dropped out
I think
quicker.
It's important to
Don't Trump fucking
as
say it,
he
should jump.
did with Joe Biden, that this does not look today like a man who is capable of serving another 3 years with his finger on the
What are we gonna do?
In
What am I asking myself as a reporter?
No,
What are we gonna do?
conversation behind the scenes.
Well, guys,
Because
make
there
it
are no restraining
That is a big
influences within his
Listen to the guy.
cabinet, and it's got to be very, very worrying to all of America's allies, if they are still allies in Europe, that as things stand tonight, we're only 1/4 of the way through Donald Trump's
What's my calculations?
Nobody's done more for NATO than I have.
That's fucking funny.
Before.
Who really sent one from NATO?
Getting
Any of the
getting
people.
to go up to 5% of GDP was something that nobody thought was going. And hey,
NATO never made any money. So they don't know anyone making money.
and
losing money.
They're buying a lot of things from us.
They're buying all sorts of shit.
Against the Ukraine and something like that.
Nothing to do with my pocket.
They're buying a lot.
I don't think it's to give me.
I
I didn't give me
think
anything.
we will work something out where NATO's going to be
You know,
very happy.
I'll work some out. You need to fucking give me a little bit.
But we
They'll be
need
happy.
more
I'm talking to Newton.
We need it for national security, and even world security. It's going to work. How about
Take him over. You, person that I picked.
104 minutes, so about an hour and 3/4. I mean, on Greenland, he
I'll take one
insisted
question.
that he's not ruling,
Thank you.
didn't take any options off the table. When he was asked how he was going to acquire Greenland, he said, "You'll find
Take
out. I think something is going to happen that's going to be very good for everyone." And he went off on the riff about nobody has ever done more for NATO than him. But he says, "We will work something out where NATO is going to be happy, and we are going to be very happy." Although precisely what the contours of that look like, he did not go into details. When it was put to him that the people of Greenland don't want to join the United States, he said, "When I speak to the people of Greenland, I'm sure they will be thrilled."
I'm gonna go watch it.
Clear that he is not travelling to Paris.
I'm not going there, though.
To accept Emmanuel Macron's invitation to a meeting
Oh,
with the G7.
next peace prize here in Davos at the president's fucking mansion.
He
I hope
dismissed
he
the
likes it.
French president, insisting that he's not going to be in power.
I'm not gonna be around.
Much longer.
Shut up.
And he made it repeatedly clear, number one, that he sees the Board of Peace taking over from the United Nations Security Council and becoming a prime mover on the geopolitical stage. And number two, that he is absolutely furious that he hasn't got a Nobel Peace Prize and he is penalising Norway as a result. So that's 104 minutes.
Oh, fuck, I have to do that. That's the funniest fucking thing I've seen in my life. Oh my god. What a fucking asshole. Oh my god, it's incredible. Is this video of him doing this shit? It's so fucking funny.
Hey everybody, Dr. G here.
Oh,
I'm a
God.
clinical and forensic psychologist as well as a body language expert. And today,
Yeah,
we're
see,
going to be
that's it.
analyzing the behavior and body language of President
I'm
Trump
sick of
and
that.
talks about Greenland as well as various world leaders. We'll
He ain't
also be
the
looking at some text messages that were sent between world leaders. A couple of quick things before we get started. One, I wanted to make sure you know
Very
this is not
smart.
psychological evaluation of any kind. These are just my opinions.
Oh,
in
yeah.
addition to that, I want to remind you to like and subscribe if you want to see more
That'd
content.
be funny
Just
if I
like
did
this.
see
All right,
that
let's
are
go.
on these clips.
And that's a small version of what's.
Question. Someone come on and fight me?
This is the end of about an hour's worth of remarks. What we're actually going to be looking at is questions as being asked by the press.
No, I'm gonna fight dirty and the Ice Age may fucking tag me. I'm not sure.
Once want you to look at his facial expressions right here. It's very unusual because he interacts with the press a lot. He's having a very strong reaction. Now, watch this.
What's the question?
So, let's go.
So you saw his chin go down and back up.
He's expecting me. Yep,
This
my
is
question.
defensive
All right,
posture.
I'm waiting for it.
Typically, he doesn't have defensive postures like this with the press. He sometimes interacts with the press in a way that's aggressive. Sometimes he gets irritated with him. But that's an unusual initial reaction for him. Here I quietly said that's a lot of people. This is it's somewhat out of character for President Trump. I've covered him a lot. I've watched a lot of his body language. This is just very different than how he typically presents.
Please.
Now that body language is very standard, where he pointed to the reporter. That all looks like more of what I would expect, but the initial interaction is just a little bit different than what we typically see. We'll look and see if there are other aspects of his body language that are different than his typical baseline.
The only one
This
who
is
did
super
kick
kick
him out.
out.
But
But
we
we
like
Like this hasn't been very helpful. I'm a big fan of the UN potential, but it has never lived up to its potential.
But this is interesting.
Very disappointing.
He's not somebody that looks down a lot, because we typically associate that with the loss of
He looks
Down a lot.
That's typically not something that
It's
he
looking
does
down.
look straight ahead. Sometimes he looks around.
Slightly.
But looking down as he's responding to questions is, once again, it's unusual. This is not typically what we see.
I don't want to talk a lot about parents. What is our reaction to that? So, two questions to you.
Well, I just think I think we trade like we've never had before. We're doing better in trade than we've ever had before. We're not being ripped off by every country in the world like we were before. We're doing numbers that nobody's ever told us.
This is highly unusual. I want to point out a couple of things right here. Watch this.
I think we trade like we've never had before.
So we've had a trade like we never had before. His eyebrows go up. He does want to emphasize this idea. It brings attention to our face. This is something he's emphasizing. Because President Trump is nothing but not someone who emphasizes things very strongly. But we're not seeing much emphasis right now, which is unusual for him. His energy here is quite different.
We're doing better in trade than we've ever had.
He's scared.
We're not being ripped off by every country in the world like we were before.
Oh, no, you are. Okay.
We're doing numbers that nobody's ever told.
There doesn't seem to be much confidence in this statement, and that's not
But as far as those world leaders like
very
Valley,
often.
meeting
He likes to be
like
very
fucking
confident whether you agree with him or not. He does tend to be confident in what he says. As he's talking about the
If you just
he's
get it,
actually saying a
I've
lot
got
of
stuff.
confidence, which is unusual.
We're doing
So right here, responding, looking down, moving his head down a little bit, that is typically what we associate with losing confidence when we're talking about something.
We're doing numbers that nobody's ever told us. We're the richest we ever were. It's because of tariffs.
Oh my God.
The use of tariffs. And we're also the most secure.
So as you can see, his body posture changed. He opened up his body more. Now he started talking more with his hands, but you can see his.
I can talk to you guys like I really want to talk to you now that I got really
as
control of
as possible. When you think about this from a very primal sense, something larger is going to be more dominant. So internally, we tend to think, if I make myself appear larger, I can be more dominant. So as he's talking about tariffs, you see his body expanding something.
What I was right now.
How would you characterize your
Damn,
relationship
to the right, left hook.
You're from right now, and have you spoken to them since you're pre-COVID this
So
summer?
I haven't, but I think I get along very well with them. I think they always.
Now watch his shoulders right here. It says, I think I get along very well with him. Now, we tend to associate this with an I don't know gesture. Both shoulders going up is I don't
You got
know.
it right.
One shoulder is non-committal. That tends to be a little bit more deceptive, but both shoulders means he really doesn't know. So as he says that he's getting along with him, he's showing you in his body he really doesn't know how well they're getting along. He's not sure if he has a good relationship with him.
No, I haven't, but I think I get along very well with them. I think they always treat me well. They get a little bit rough when when I'm not around. But when I'm around, they treat me very nicely. And they're both.
Never
So there's a
fine.
lot here. Let's go back.
Probably
to
gave me
this
some
line.
money.
I'll show you a couple
Okay,
things.
later.
No, I haven't, but I think I get along very well with them. I think they.
Not I had to get along with them a little lower.
So as he said, they always treat me well. He's standing up straighter. That's something he wants people to believe. And that's something that, once again, is dominant and tries to take up more space as he does that.
When I'm not around. But when I'm around, they treat.
When he talks about when he's not around, you see the bottom teeth come out. This is a sign of aggression and anger.
They get a little bit rough when when I'm not around.
Nah, man.
When I'm not around. So it does make him angry, thinking they might be saying things about him that he doesn't like when
I'm not around.
so that they don't treat him as well when they're not face to face with him.
Pretty scary.
When I'm around, they treat me very nicely.
When I'm around, they treat me very nicely.
You know, I like both of them.
Yeah. Like
Now,
both of
I
them.
talked about how one shoulder
Agreed.
is deceptive. He said, "Now I like both of them. Only one
Sure,
shoulder."
they're fine.
I actually
They're
don't
not
think
hurt.
that's true. There's one or the other thing that he doesn't like so
I'm gonna have
much.
to do that again.
They treat me very nicely.
And treat me nicely
Yeah,
now.
I like both of them.
Like, it's fine. I mean, they're fine. It's all
You never
business.
watch a trial on the news and later find out there was a huge
The first one was
story
like,
that you didn't
you
hear
know,
about. As a
if you
forensic psychologist, I'm always telling people about blind spots. The little details that we miss in somebody's body language or their history.
Yeah, I'm not sure about this guy, but we'll see.
And if you do this with the help of this video sponsor, Ground News. Ground News is a news
We're just not gonna let him.
app that gathers over 50,000.
We're not gonna pay attention to him.
I want to show you how you
Let him do what he wants for a while.
in your own newsfeed using their blind spot feature. The blind spot feature shows you which news stories are being disproportionately covered by one side or the other to see what parts of the story you might be missing. With
All of it?
the blind spot feature on Ground News, you can see which stories are not being covered by the left and the right. For example, the left isn't covering the story that Tom Homan is proclaiming that the Trump administration is actually
Left
vaccinating
knows the fake news story.
63,000 migrant children. Or this story that's mainly being covered by the left, where we find ISIS arrested nearly 75,000 people with no criminal history. And when you click on a story, you can see the summary of how many sources covered it, and if you scroll down, you can see
socialists
sources
covered
from
it?
the left, center, and
All of them, I
right
think.
sources. Just to be clear, Ground News does not tell you what to believe.
The ones they
It
ask.
asks you stay informed and make your own choices when you can see the full picture of how each story is being covered.
What a time to be alive and be a socialist right now.
And see how each site covers the news. Subscribe to Ground News and get 40% off your Advantage plan by going to ground.news/Dr. G. You can click on the link in the description to pin comment or scan this QR code. Again, it's ground.news/Dr. G. Let's get back to the analysis.
Let's do it again.
Hey, baby.
So as he's getting ready to answer this question, you notice him dominating again. His arms are coming up. Now, one thing that's also interesting, if you look at his left shoulder, he's leaning his left shoulder way back. Now, what that does is rather than hitting people head on, that obscures you a little bit. That makes it so you're feeling less connected to people. So once again, there's some defensive gestures here as he's talking about this. There's frustration there. Think about it. If someone
They sent in strong they make recommendations for them. But I said,
It's a bit of a rambling performance, isn't it, Simon?
It is a very rambling performance, Ian. It is a recalcitrant performance.
let me show you and you will see. Okay, so, okay. So here was the one, and it is the one that I think it's a spaceship running away from the sun. Don't forget, the shenanigans will tell you it's a planet. The three planets are here: Mercury, Mars, and Venus. And here, you can perfectly see the sun's to the right and this object to the left, flying with a kind of a small balloon. Here, you see? This was
Flying through the tail.
before and during the explosion. So this is one, right? But then I saw this here. Okay. And this is so crazy, man. Okay, it starts here, near this star. This is a star, and there's here an object. And moving forward, you see the object here? It's this. It will move like this. Look. Now I'm zooming. You see it moving? Like this? You see? Okay, here. Very consistent, going towards the sun. Here, still there, moving forward. Here, then I'll show you zooming out. Look, it's here.
Going. And then there's a glitch. It stopped here. There's a glitch. Oh, it got the explosion over it. Man, it didn't break. It's not a rock. It's here. And the explosion. And we go. He's here. Right when the explosion occurs, the big one. And then he was blasted by the explosion, but survived. This is not a simple like a rock. So it received the impact, that massive impact, and survived. And it's not like when you see these specks of dust that appear randomly and disappear in only one frame. This is like an object flying into the sun. Now I will play it like this, you will see this object. I will play, you see? There's a glitch then. Look, there we go. Man! 1, 2, 3. It looks like it goes towards this direction. I don't know if it hit the sun or not. It was right in the moment of that blast, of that corona mass ejection. He was very close and received it, the impact, as it was nothing. So if it's alien, maybe they are using those bursts of high energy from the sun for their benefit or something. It's what I suspect. I don't know what is it. Nobody tell us. Did you see anybody? The news. This object was identified. It's this object that blah blah blah. We have the surface of it. It's a spaceship. Maybe it's the impact they want. Maybe. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. It's freaking weird. And it's not the first, the second, the third. We are always getting these objects. And these.